Hello, and thank you for joining me. In this session, we're going to talk about making our workbooks a little more presentable. So I'm going to start here in my cell A1, and I'm going to zoom in, and I can do that several ways. The first way is I can hold down the control button, and if your mouse has a scroll wheel, you just scroll up, and it'll zoom in. The other way is if you look down here in the lower right-hand corner, you'll see a sliding scale. This also allows you to zoom. So if you notice, as I slide it back and forth, to the right it zooms in, to the left it zooms out. Finally, if I want to, I can go up here to my various tabs, select the one that says View, go over here to Zoom, and they already have some preset magnifications, or I can go down here to the custom one and basically zoom into whatever I want. In this case, I'm just going to go ahead and hold down my control button and scroll until I'm happy. All right, the first thing I want to kind of talk about is we're here in the Home ribbon, so I've selected this Home tab up here. And what I want to do is I want to talk about this group area called Clipboard. Now, it's pretty simple and straightforward, but we have cut, copy, and format painter. We have cut, which is going to remove something from a cell and put it into another cell. So we can do that by either selecting this, or we can also hit Control X. And whenever I hit Control X, notice that we start getting the marching ants border. That's what I refer to it as. It's moving around, they're marching around, so I call them marching ants. If I go to the cell next to it, I can either go up here and click on Paste, or I can right click and click on paste, or I can hit Control V, and that will also paste. The next item that we have in here is copy, and we can do that by hitting Control C. So if I were to go down here, Control C, okay? So just like before, whenever I hit Control C, I'm going to get the marching ants around my border. I'm going to go over here. I can either hit paste, or I can hit the paste button up here, or I can hit Control V, or I can right click and just tell it to paste. Now, the way we get rid of these marching ants, otherwise I'll always stay focused on that cell, is we hit escape, and that'll get rid of it. So what I want you to notice is Control X is cut, Control C is copy, and Control V is going to be paste. Again, you can also use the buttons up here, the icons that are up here in the clipboard group. The next thing that we have in here is format painter. So let's say I were to go here and I were to highlight this, change the font on it to, we'll say Algerian, and I were to make it the text bright red. So notice that the bucket right here is the fill color of the cell. The color with the letter over it, the letter A, is going to be the actual color of the text, and the actual type of text, the font type, is going to be located up here. I can also change the size of the text by going here and selecting a different number. If I want to go in increments, I can go, see how it's currently 16 up here? If I want to go down, I just hit this and it'll shrink the letter. Or if I want to go up, I raise it. Now, if I want to copy the format that's located here and bring it over to the other cells, then I can use my format painter. Clicking on it once is again going to bring back our marching ants. And if I just go to the next cell that I want to go ahead and copy the format to, I just select it and it'll only do it once. However, let me do the same thing again, only I'm going to change it up a little bit. I'm going to go here and we'll say blue, red, and we'll select, here's a good one, and I'm going to raise the text. And let's say I want the rest of my cells to look like this. If I double click on this format painter located here, if I double click, now it's going to let me move it over to multiple cells. Whereas only single clicking only allows me to bring it over to one cell, the cell that I click on next. Once I'm done, I hit escape. Now, let's say you've gone through and you've done all this and you realize, wait a second, this isn't what I want things to look like. Maybe this particular cell right here, you just want things to go back to normal. So if you look here, we're in the clipboard group under the home ribbon. I'm going to go all the way over to where it says editing. And if you notice, there's something that says clear. I'm going to click on the drop down and it says clear all, clear formats, contents, comments, and hyperlinks. In this case, I'm only interested in the formats because I don't want to actually get rid of the data. And if you notice, it brings it back to a standard. The standard is Calibri with the font size of 11. Let's say we're not interested in the background colors or anything. We're just interested in whether it's bold or italicized or maybe even just our borders. Here what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and make this bold. And maybe I want to go ahead and have it italicized and underlined. And then right next to this, if you notice, this is the border types. So currently we have no borders. But if I were to go ahead and open this up, this is all my selections. So these are the different border types I can choose from. So in this case, I might just choose this one cell is going to have a big thick border around it. Now, if I want to go ahead and take that idea and I want to copy it to these other cells, I go back to my format painter. And maybe I just want to do the cell down here, catty corner. There we go. Also, just so you know that if you do have something that you're copying, whether you're copying it or cutting it and you're putting it on the clipboard, if you want to see what's on your clipboard, you can go up here to the clipboard group and you can go over here. They're very difficult to see sometimes. There's a drop down menu. Under the clipboard group specifically, there's going to be one that shows you everything that's on the clipboard. So if I select multiple items and I go to copy it, notice how it populates the clipboard area. So, or if I want to, I can clear them all or I can paste them all, whatever I choose. So I'm going to go ahead and clear that, and we'll go ahead and clear that. We'll say here, clear all. There we go. Also with your font, your alignment, or anything, anytime you're working in a group, always try and keep an eye out down here in the lower right-hand corner of that group and see if there's a drop-down menu. For instance, with font, that's going to pull up a lot more in the way of options of what you can do with it. Now, in some cases, like if you see font, notice how this tab right here is font. And then if I go next to it, it's alignment. If I go over here to the alignment area, or to the alignment group, and I do the same thing, it's going to pull up the same text box, but it's going to go straight to that alignment tab. So either way, with Excel, there's multiple ways to do the same thing. But just to reiterate, if you don't feel like you have enough selection coming from your ribbon, check in the lower right-hand corner of the group that you're working in and see if there's a drop-down option. All right, so now what I want to do is I want to move on to something that's a pretty common problem that I see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clear everything. And one of the ways I like to do it is if you look here between the A and the 1, if you notice this box right here, right where my cursor's at, if you select that, it will select all the cells in the workbook. And what I like to do is once I've selected them all, if I'm done with it, I just hit delete. And if I really want to, I can just go over here to clear and say clear all. That'll clear everything, the formats, the contents, everything. Okay, so now what I want to focus on is when we have a situation where our text goes beyond a single cell. Okay, and the reason why is currently all of this text, which appears here in the formula bar, all of our formulas, all of our text, anything is always going to appear here in the formula bar as well as our cell. Now, if you notice whenever I go to the next cell and I type anything, notice how my long sentence that was there is suddenly gone. You have several options. You can either stretch your A cell, your column till it fits, which can be a bit problematic, or you can, if you notice my cursor, here I have the big plus sign, and if I go between cells, like if I click on just a column, we have the down arrow. That means I'm going to select the entire column. Notice how it's selecting the entire column. Same thing for the rows. Notice how the arrows turn to the right over here. I select entire rows. However, if I go between, and if you watch closely, it'll transform and it'll look like this. So notice how it has arrows pointing both ways. Whenever it's like that and I double click, it'll automatically stretch the column width until it contains the cell contents. But we don't want to do that because we don't want a really, really wide cell. So instead what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this cell and I'm going to go up here where it says wrap text. Now what it's done, it's gone ahead and it's taken the text and it's stacked it so that way it fits in that cell. Now, just to show you, I'm going to go ahead and make this cell really big. I'm going to make it really wide, and you can already see it's already really tall. So let's say currently it's aligned at the bottom. So we're going to look at cell alignment, and that is going to happen here where it says alignment. We've already done wrap. Now what we're going to do is we're going to say we want to align it at the top, and it's left aligned, or maybe we want to center it, or maybe we want it in the middle. There we go. Maybe I want it all the way to the right and all the way at the bottom, or maybe I wanted the bottom right and the top. So this first row up here lets you decide do you want it in the top, the middle, or at the bottom. The second one lets you decide if you want it all the way to the left, in the center, or to the right. So that's just going over some of the basics of formatting our cells. So if you found this video useful, please click like and share with others. Thank you.